This is helping people develop those job readiness skills so that they're better prepared as they go in and they talk to employers for internships or for jobs. Okay, so this right here is a handout. It might be colored for some of you. I ran out earlier, so I had to just run some black and white ones really quickly. But really, you'll see that the things that we help with the most in our office are resume and cover letter assistance. And when it comes to resumes and cover letters, we do not write people's resumes and cover letters for them. We are really teaching and educating people on how to do that. How do you create bullets? How do you format a resume properly? How do you customize a resume for a job? Those are all of the things that we cover. In addition, we help out with interviewing. So if you have an interview coming up and you want assistance on interviewing, you can schedule mock interviews with our office, and we customize the questions that we ask based off of the position and the company you're applying for. So we'll ask for the job description, the company, and so we use that to create questions for your mock interview, so that way you're really thinking about how your previous experience relate to that position that you're interviewing for, and hopefully putting your best foot forward. We also do things like internships, so if you're ever interested in exploring your field and building your resume, we have Lindsay in our office, who is our internship coordinator, so she can work with you. I'm assuming a lot of you might be like IT related based off of your participation or your enrollment in this class. We do have a lot of IT stuff that are kind of in the works for the month of October. I think I might have shared with you, we're going to be doing things like career panels, and we're going to be doing information session because the Phoenix Chamber of Commerce is doing like an IT internship thing, so they're going to be coming and doing an info session on that. So again, we do a lot of assisting one-on-one, but we also do lots of events. So like I mentioned, we do career panels, we do job fairs. Job fairs look a little differently now, right? Like they're not like our normal job fairs. We've been doing a lot of virtual job fairs, but we actually did have, I want to say like 3 weeks ago, we had a 3-day virtual hiring event series, and then, was it last week, we did like an on-campus job fair. So, so we still kind of have a role in that. They look a little differently, but it's still really great. And I want to show you,
Where do I go?
Okay, yeah. So in this search bar, go ahead and type in career services. Perfect. And that'll take you to our landing.
Right there,
There
right?
you go. Yeah, so our landing page has tons of information. If you want to connect with our office, you could chat with us online through Cranium, or you can, if you click on schedule an appointment, that'll take you to our online scheduler. You'll sign in with your MEID and password, and then you could say, I need help with a resume, and I want help on this day at this time with this person. Like, it's this whole thing where you can schedule online, so it's really easy. If you go to like the Find a Job tab, this has all of the links to resources and information all about job searching and resumes and interviewing. So anything employment preparation, you can click on any of these tabs to get information. We have packets and resources. Coming soon to our interviewing tab, we are acquiring a mock interview software right now. I'm really excited about it. It's Big Interview. We're literally right in the middle of purchasing it. And so it's going to be really cool. We are getting a feature that has AI built into it. So once you do a mock interview, you get automatic feedback on how you presented yourself. So it does like this eye calibration thing, so you can see how is my eye contact. They'll give you information on how are your filler words, what are your word choices like. So it's this really cool tool that we're really excited about. And then in addition to that automatic feedback that the system does, you can also email it to our staff, and we can review it and give you feedback as well. So tons of way that we can assist you when it comes to interviewing. Resumes and cover letters, like I said, schedule an appointment with us and we can help you. And then if you're interested in knowing more about how do you look for jobs on campus or off campus, click on the job openings tab, and that'll take you to Maricopa Pipeline AZ, which is our newest platform where we are sending students if they are seeking employment either on or off campus. And then in addition, we direct people to like our jobs.maricopa pages if you're interested in just jobs in Maricopa. So tons of resources are on that tab as well. Under internships, Lindsay Walker, who's in our office, her information is blasted all over that page. So if you're interested, you can click on the link to schedule an appointment with her, or her email and phone number are listed there as well. And then if you can go back one more page, I just want to show you, if you scroll down, we have this here. So if you want to take a look at all of the workshops that we're doing, click on virtual workshops. All of our workshops are there. You can register. I printed out our September calendar so you kind of have an idea of the topics that we present on. Most of them are online, but we do high flex workshops as well. So we at least have 2 high flex workshops every single month, which means that they're in person and online simultaneously. We also have on-demand courses in career management and experiential learning. So our career management course really dives deep into resume writing, interviewing, online etiquette, those kinds of things. So if you really want to learn more about those topics, you can enroll on our on-demand courses and really go through the, really go through the content at your own pace. So we have that. And then lastly, we have videos on demand, which is basically sending you to our YouTube channel. All the things that we do now, we record as many as we can, so they live on this online library. So like past, past employer panels that we've done, our industry panels are recorded, so you can always check those out if you missed it. We do leadership speaker series called From College to Career. So we speak to a leader within our community every single month to really talk about what their transformation has been like from transitioning, getting a degree and really moving into leadership roles. So if you want to check out those videos along with other just resources and content information, click on this and you can search our YouTube library and see what kind of stuff you can find there. But lots of stuff online. I don't want to take up a lot of time because I know you probably have a lot of work, but just wanted to introduce you to our website, introduce you to me, so you know who I am and that we have a department on campus to support you in these areas. A lot of the times, like just the other day, I had a student, and when I had presented, it was like an online presentation. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know we had somebody on campus that could help me with my resume. So that's really why I like coming into the classroom, because a lot of students don't know that we're here and the things that we can support you in. So hopefully you've learned something. And if anything, head to our website. All of our contact information is on there, so you can schedule an appointment with our office. Okay? Any questions? Yes.
I have a 2-part question here. The first is, with the current labor market, are you finding companies are more aggressive working with your department to try to recruit new grads? And second, what fields do you see the highest demand for, whether it's nursing or IT or whatever?
It's really across the board. I think right now the labor market, there's so many job openings, yet there's still so many people unemployed. So it's just weird. What I'm seeing in the in the industry and workforce is, in the past, a lot of employers were not willing to train so much. They're like, no. But I think kind of what we're seeing the shift now are people are like, we need the people, we need the good attitude, we'll train the people. That's kind of where I'm seeing a big shift with employers that we didn't really see in the past, which is a good thing. But I mean, right now, I want to say like every industry has been hit by the pandemic in some sort, and it's really been hard for them to come back and fill those positions again. So it is nursing, it is, our retail, our hospitality area. Like there's just so many industries. But one of the things that I've noticed, like I said, is that willingness for employers to have more flexibility with that training aspect, which I don't know that it was always there in the past. So recruiters are definitely, like we're seeing that, which is really great because we're back on campus now. So we're like, how do we re-engage our employers again? Because we haven't been gone, but students haven't been on campus, so they haven't been coming on campus like they normally have, or we haven't had our job fairs. But yes, employers are definitely knocking on our doors, and they're like, what can we do? And it's not a GCC, but like, what can we do with Maricopa? Yeah. Because they see us as big players in the game. We are I don't know if you all know this, but we're one of the, I think, the largest in the nation as far as districts. So we are a very big district, and so they're wanting to know what they can do with our district more and more. We just had a meeting with Tech Systems. I don't know if you know Tech Systems.
Yeah, they were on our career panel.
Yeah, so we were just meeting with them, and they're figuring out, Microsoft is coming out here. What do we do? What can we do? And so they're going to probably be presenting an October, like info sessions, doing resume writing, stuff that's more IT related for people. So we have employers that are willing to do more stuff like that with us now, which is exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So I'm going to piggyback on something that Isel said with that on-the-job training. So years ago, and I mean like 20 years ago, maybe even 25 years ago, companies did a great job of on-the-job training. I mean, that's really kind of how I came to even be a teacher, as I did a lot of corporate training. And then companies moved away from that. Like, they want you, I mean, they're willing to train you a little bit, but most of their training is, here, go sit next to this person and hopefully you can figure it out. Especially in the field of IT, because they, I think, mistakenly believe that you're developing all these like high-tech skills in school. Well, we're doing the best we can to help you develop skills in school, right? But they're not, I mean, you're not going to walk out of here after CNT140 and be a networking genius, but you'll be able to hold your own. Now, with the pandemic, I agree with you. I'm seeing that companies are willing to do more training, especially in the field of IT, because they're so short-staffed that they need to do a little bit more training. But I'm worried that that trend will go away. I don't think that's going to stay. I think that they're going to end up going back to, look, if you're not learning this stuff, we're not interested in you. You know, because there's so much available in the way of schooling and conferences and webinars and vendor training and boot camp. So I don't know how the industry will change, but I am seeing the same thing, that they're doing more to get especially entry-level people in, especially because we're working from home now, right? So they really need self-starters, self-learners, because you may not be in the office for very long. Like, you might be in the office for 30 days and then they're like, okay, go work from home. And, you know, you've got to be resourceful. You have to be congenial so that you know how to reach out to your fellow employees by phone or a conference or something like that, because you might be working from home. It's not like you're going to be sitting right next to your colleague. So again, it's just, we'll see.
Ebbs and flows, and I think it's just really interesting to see like where employers are at right now.
Yeah.
Right, it wasn't like that like a few years ago, and I've been in a few workforce meetings, and those are what some like workforce developers, what they've been kind of noticing with the employers, that they kind of, I say court, right? So workforce developers are like people from the cities, and they're the ones kind of courting employers to like, hey, come to Glendale,
Yeah.
build here. And so, but that's one of the things that I listened to and I heard at a workforce meeting, is that they were kind of sharing that they've been noticing that with some of the employers that they've been working with, is just, there's such a high need right now that they're just trying to find the people, and if they just have the right attitude and a few other things, okay, we'll figure out the rest and we'll train them. But again,
Yeah.
that might ebb and flow depending on the market, right? So
Yeah.
that's just kind of what I'm currently noticing right now in conversations that I've been a part of.
Yeah, and you know, for those of you that were on our career panel, remember most of those employers said attitude. If you have the right attitude, we're going to hire you over someone maybe who doesn't have a good attitude, even if they have the knowledge. So, all right. Yeah, thank you, Isel.
No problem. Well, thank you all. I hope you'll have a good evening. Learned a little bit about what we do. If you have any questions, feel free to find us online. Is that my cell phone or is that yours?
That's mine.
Okay, perfect. I have one that has like the same.
The same,
logo.
yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So we are going to be talking about network addressing. Sorry. Hi. Okay. We're going to be talking about some network addressing. I want everyone to take notes, okay? So if you watch the video, you know what we're doing today, right? We're figuring out the first address, the last address, and the broadcast. So again, let's just think about our classroom right here, right? We're part of a network. If we did an IP config, we could see what network we're on. And we all belong to the same network, and we all have the same what? We all have the same subnet, we all have the same network address, and we all have the same what else? We all have the same broadcast, and yes, we have the same default gateway, right? We have the same entry and exit point. We agree? Now, what is different about every one of our PCs? Yeah, the host address, right? So once we have the network, then I can figure out what I want my IP address to be for my default gateway. I can also figure out what the broadcast is. So everything in between, I can use to assign to these devices. And that's what we're going to do. You know, one of the things that you would be doing as a network administrator is setting up networks, determining IP addresses. Now we're talking in terms of setting up static IP addresses. And in 150, well, this class we're going to talk about DHCP too. But in 150, we actually learn how to configure DHCP. So that's the same thing. We need to know what addresses of that network are available for me to be put into my DHCP server, okay? So let's see. Let me set up my little clicker. So what is the definition as it relates to host bits of the network address? So for a network address, what are the host bits? They're all 0, right? All the host bits are off. So for a network, all the host bits are off. So go ahead and write that down. Okay. So the network address, all the host bits are off. So if I've got a /24, I've got 1111111, 11111, 11111, and then the fourth octet is all what? Everyone? Off. It's all zeros, right? It's all zeros. Okay. So the first usable address, as it relates to the host bits, for the first usable, all the host bits are off except the very last one. Okay, so write that down. This is the first usable address, so I can use this address. Now, with what we've been talking about, what do I usually use that address for, Chase? Yes. So if all the host bits are off except the last one, that's the first usable address, what do I usually use this address for? The default gateway. Do I have to use the first usable address? No, I don't have to, right? It's just an easy way to remember what my default gateway is, but I don't have to. Okay, everybody got this written down? Okay. The last usable address. If we're talking about host bits, here all the host bits are on except the very last one. They're all on except the very last one. So notice this is usable, usable. So everything in between the first and the last, I can assign to all of these devices, right? Everything can get an address. So that's why we subtract 1 for the network, and then we subtract 1 for the what? The broadcast, okay? And the broadcast is when all the host bits are on. So in other words, I need to broadcast it to everybody, right? I need to broadcast it to everybody. Okay. Everybody got that? All right, so let's just look at it in action. So here's my IP address, 192.168.1.25/24. Can I figure out what network it belongs to? Yes. I can, right? I do put this into binary, then I put the /24 into binary, then I do a little what? Do a little Boolean, and then I use the subnet mask to tell me what? What does the subnet mask tell me? Yes, the difference between the host bits and the network bits, right? So here's my IP address, 192.168.1.25. My subnet mask, 255.255.255.0. We all agree? So the ones, I know that this is going to be part of my network. This is going to be part of my network. This is going to be part of my network. But what about these guys? Host bits. host bits, right? Host bits. So here's my network bits. There's my host bits. Now, host bits, I can change them. I can flip them on. I can flip them off. I can do whatever I want with them. I can borrow them, which is what we're going to learn how to do on Thursday. So host bits don't really care what you do to them, okay? Network bits, they care, right? We can't really change the network bits, although we're going to learn how to do that on Thursday. So since this network bit is on, my subnet mask tells me it has to stay on. We all understand that part, right? Okay. So my network address is 192.168.1.0/24. We're all pretty good at that, right? Okay. So let's figure out, now that we know the network address, let's figure out the first usable address. So here's my network, 192.168.1.0. What was the definition of the first usable address? All hosts are what? Off. Okay, I wasn't sure if I heard on or off. They're all off, okay? Network bits stay the same. Host bits can be flipped. So look, this guy gets flipped. So now what do I have? 192.168.0 dot. And where will I do this? Where will I assign this? I'm going to put it on my default gateway, right? That's my exit and my entry point. Host bits are all off except the last one, okay? So we've got 192.168.1.1. So now let's find the last usable. Network bits stay the same. We agree on that. Okay. Now, what am I going to do for the last usable address with these host bits? Everything on except the last one. So here, so now what's my address? Carlos, what's my address? .254. 192.168.1 dot, and then if I add all these up, it's a 254. Okay, 254. So now I've pretty much figured out my usables. So I could use the .1, the .2, the .3, the .4, the .5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 200, 201, 202, 203, 250, 251, 52, 54, nope, not 255, right? Okay, now the broadcast. Network bits stay the same. What do I do with the host bits, Tyler? All of them get turned on, and now I have a 255, right? Okay, so here's my network. First usable, last usable. So remember, everything in between here, that's what's available. You know what? Give me a second here. This will make it easier for him to see. Okay. So now that I know my network, what would I do to figure out my next network? How do I figure out the next network? Logan. You add 1 to the third octet. How did you do that? What did you do? What was your thought process? Okay, so we look at the 24. So my last network bit is here. So what's your increment? 1. So you add 1 to here, and we get the next network, 192.168.2.0. Then we add 1 to get the next network. And then we add 1 to get the next network, right? And I can keep going. So then I'd have 192.168.40.0, 50, 51, 52, right? Okay. So why do network administrators need to know the address ranges? Because they need to know how to set up and add IP addresses to their devices. So if we look right here, we've got our default gateway, 192.168.1.1, right? All devices in your network need a unique IP address, otherwise they can't talk to each other, they can't talk remotely. So remember, these guys can actually talk to each other even if they don't have an IP address, but they can't get outside of their own selves, right? The default gateway on the router interface needs a unique IP address. You have to activate it. What's the command to activate it?
No shutdown.
No shutdown, right? So here's our default gateway, first usable, but it doesn't have to be. Now notice right here, I just went ahead and set up my server with my last usable. Not because there's any rhyme or reason to it, I just decided to do it. Okay. And then everything in between. We can see here, my phone is a .3, another IP phone is a .4, computer .5, .6, 207, 208, 209, right? Just like on here. So everybody understand that? Perfect. Okay. Everything in between. So, and then here, right, our broadcast is everything, if I'm talking to everything. So anything from the interface, the default gateway interface out, that's all part of my broadcast domain, okay? Write that down, broadcast domain. It's part of my broadcast domain. So if any of these devices or my router needs to talk to everybody, it will use the broadcast address. Okay. Okay. So we learned how to figure out the next network address by looking at the octet, determining the positional value, and then just incrementing, right? So I want to just point something out to you. So let's say we have this 10.10.0.0/29. What's my octet? Everybody. For everybody. Right? A 29 falls in the 4th octet. What would my subnet increment be? Everybody. Whoa. Okay, everyone write a positional value chart right now. Everybody draw a positional value chart. Draw a positional value chart. What's my value? 128. Next. 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 Okay. So if I have a 29, that means I have 3 octets that are full already, right? 8, 16, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. What's my increment? 8. 8, 8, 8. Okay. So here's my first network, 10, 10, 10. Oh, that should be 10, 10, 10. Okay. 10, 10, 10, 0, 29. My first usable address is a 1. Then everything in between, so I'd have a .2, a .3, because if I have a 29, how many total addresses are there? 8. How many usable? 6. So that means I have .1, .2, .3, .4, .5. The last usable is the .6. The broadcast is the .7. Do we all agree? And if I incremented the 0 by 8, what's my next network? .8. Okay, so here's what I want you to notice. This is a small network, so it's easy for us to see. So 7 is my broadcast. So the very, 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 very last address of this network, right? It's not one I can use, but it's still the very, 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 very last address. And then what's over here? 8, right? And then we have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the broadcast of 15. So what's my next network? 16. Then I have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, my broadcast of 23. What's my next network? 24. So you see, it's just whatever's next. So there's a couple different ways to figure out your next networks. I do it with positional value because it's just easy for me. But this is another way. You could figure out the range. Once you know what the broadcast is, you just add 1 and you get the next one. Does everybody see that? all we're doing is it's like we've taken, you know, a big line and we're just chopping it up, right? We're just chopping it up. Hi, Blake. Does this make sense? Yes.
I get why we go to like the next one to start the virtual address, but why don't we just use, say, for example, 10.10.10.0 as that's the beginning as the default instead of pushing it forward one?
Are you asking why I don't use 10.10.10.0 for the default gateway?
Yeah, like why can't it be both things?
It can't. The devices just won't recognize it.
Okay, so
It's-
that's like an identifier then.
Yep.
That's, okay.
If you try to put 10.10.10.0 slash or 255, 248, it will not let you do it. It's going to recognize it as a network. Any device will recognize it as a network and not let you do it. Yes.
That's an interesting question. Like, what uses that? What
The network uses it.
I understand, but like, what device will use it?
Well, okay. Let's think about the router. When we did the show IP route,
Oh, right.
okay, what went into the show IP route? The C and the L. All devices have to know what network they belong to, what neighborhood they belong to. Just like you have a zip code, your address, your postman needs to know what zip code you belong to. So it's a reserve, they're called reserved addresses. So they're reserved for the use of a network. Now, sometimes a different slash, you might have a 10.10.10.0, and that will be in the middle of a network, and that could be an address. What determines that is your slash notation. If you have a slash 29, you're going to be a 0, an 8, a 16, a 24, a 32. You cannot duplicate any addresses anywhere on your network. So I can't assign you a .22 and Ken a .22. We'd have a duplicate address mismatch, okay? We'd get a duplicate address. I can't give my default gateway a .1 and then give you a .1. Won't work. Yes?
Is this going to limit kind of duplicate IP warning?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It'll give you an error message. Okay, so does everybody see how you can just go to the next one? This works every time. So like if you have a slash, let's say that this was a slash 26, then I'd have a 0 slash 26, and then what would I have? If I had a slash 26, what does that increment by? Right, so then I'd have 10.10.10.0 slash 26, then I'd have a .64, then I'd have a what? 128. Okay, then I'd have a what? 192. Okay, now this brings up an interesting question. What if I have another one? What do I have then?
10.10.11.0.
Right. Because if I add 64 to this, what do I get? I get 256. And in the world of binary and our IP addresses, is there any such thing as a 256? So what do I have to do? I just carry this extra one over to the prior octet, 10.10.11. We'll go over that again. Okay, we'll do that a couple times. Yes. Yes. Okay. What's what? Okay, yeah, I'll just have to address it later. Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful if one of you would get on there and you can do that. Yeah, you could get on through. Okay, so let's just look at this in practice, okay? So if we look at like these three networks, 10.10.10.0 slash 29, Then here's our next network address and our next network. So again, this is just equal size subnetting, right? They're all equal size. Thursday, we're going to learn how to do different sizes. Maybe I have 30 addresses for one network, another one only needs 5, someone else needs 120. We want to figure out how to do that too. Right now, we're only doing equal subnetting. So how many usable addresses do each of these have? How many usable? 6. So let's look at this. So we have 10.10.10.0/29. That's this network right there. Now what address would I put on this interface?
Dot one.
I would put a .1, and this is now the what for this whole network? The default gateway. Now, I've given this PC a .2, a .3, a .4, right? And then a .6. That's my last usable. What would the broadcast address be for this whole network? .7. So then we're going to come over here and we are going to find our 8. So this interface has 10.10.10.8. So what would this address be? .9. It would be .9, right? Because if my network is 8 and I just add 1 to it to get the default gateway because all the host bits are off except 1. Okay, and then the rest. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What's the broadcast?
15.
What's the next network?
16.
What's my default gateway right here? 17. What's my broadcast address? 23. 23. Right? And see how I have 18, 19, 21, 22, 20. I've given addresses to my other devices. Everybody see that? Okay. Sales, HR. So this might be my sales department. This is my human resources department. Here's my marketing department. Okay. .1, right? These are my default gateways. There's my .1 address. We're all good? All right. What am I doing here? Manipulate knows you can different all the hosted. Okay, same thing. We just did the same thing, except with a 0 because we're going to do this one together. Let me see here. Okay. All right, I'm going to hand this out. Now I want you to listen to me for this, okay? I'm going to hand these out. The first one is done. This is an example. This is the one that we did. We did 192.168, whatever it was. 0, what is it? 192.168.1.25. This is the one we did, okay? I want you to do the first one. Okay, I want you to do the first one all the way through. Do the bits so that I can see the bits. And then I want you to do the second one. Okay? So I'm going to wait till everybody gets this because I want you to circle the ones I want you to do. Does everybody have one? Okay, so you're going to do the 192.160.120.27/24. And then you're going to flip the page over and you're going to do that one, which is 192.168.25.25/23. I want you to do those 2 only for right now. And when you're done, we're going to do another exercise. Okay, so now when you're done, go ahead and keep working. But when everyone's done, we're going to do another one, okay? But these are the 2 I want us to get done before I do the next exercise. There, it's in the modules for him to download. The next one will be too, so it's right underneath the check-in activity. So if you notice, this tells you even what to do, right? Turn the very last host bit in the network address on. Flip only the last bit from 0 to 1. It tells you what to do. So you should all have your chart out. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and then 32, 31, 30, 29. You should have that out. It'll make this much easier. So turn on the very last host. So for here, this would be 0. And I turn on the last one. And then for this, right, I gotta, let's draw this all the way down. Because everything over here is the network, right? And everything over here is the host. So this one says turn all the host bits in the network address on except the very last one. So this is going to be on. And then everything gets turned on. Come on. What the heck? I don't know where I went wrong. I don't know what that means. Okay, I don't know what that means. Dominic, are you done with both of them? Perfect. Tyler, are you done with both of them? Adiel, are you done with both of them? Noelle? Carlos? Melanie? Finishing up the second one? Chase? Logan? Ken? And Devin, okay? Reference isn't valid. I don't know what that means. What am I? Okay. So let's look at this one together, okay? So let's look at this one together. So first of all, we're looking at the 192.168.25.25/23, right? So what we want to do is just figure it out in binary. Notice here I've drawn the line where my network ends. I'm here to tell you that will help you so much not make a mistake. Just draw a line. It will really, really help you. Now, so now we can do Boolean to figure out what our network is, right? So I can look right here and I can see 192.168. And then what is my third octet? 24, right? Because this one up here in my IP address is part of the what bits? It's part of the host bits, right? It's part of the host bits. So my network address is 192.168.24.0. Did everybody get that? Okay, good. Now we just want to figure out the first usable. So all I have to do is, the network is going to stay the same. So I just carried it down. But for my first usable, this says, turn the very last host bit in the network address on. So that means everything else is off, right? Off, 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 on. Okay, so now I have my first usable address, 192.168.24.1. Okay. Now you got to make sure you don't let this next part mess you up, because now we have to figure out the last usable. The network stays the same, right? The network stays the same. And then we turn all of the host bits on except which one? The last one. Now, you still have to look at each octet. So I still have what? Yep, and then I still have the 24, but now another bit has been turned on in the octet. So what is the third octet's value? 25, and then when I add 1111110, what is it? 254. So what you should get for the last usable is 192.168.25.254. Okay? Now, how many addresses are usable for this? 510. So if we had the brain power, we'd be able to see that 24.1, 24.2, 24.3, 24.5, 25.1, 25.2, 25.3, all of those in between these two, those are the 510 addresses available. And it would be every single combination in between here. So here we have 00001, 11110, but every single combination, 000000011, 0001111, 1110001, right? Every single way that I could manipulate those numbers would give me 510 different addresses. Does everybody see that? Okay. And then the broadcast, what do? I turn them all on. So how many host bits do I have?
9.
2 raised to the power of 9 gives me the total addresses. I subtract 2, 1 for the, and 1 for the, okay. I need to figure out the next network. Now, I could do it this way. I could just add 1 to that, which would turn this into a 26.0, or we could do our little positional value trick. I'm going to increment by what? 2 in the third octet. So if I do it like this, just so it makes it easy to see, I increment by 2 in the third octet. So now I add 2 to 24. Everybody get that? Okay. So I want to bring your attention. So the assignment we just did is in the modules. Okay, you'll finish this and then you'll upload it. Okay, don't finish it right now because we're going to do another thing. But I just want you to see this. Okay, so this is the one we just did. Okay, and then there's more. We'll have time. And then if you would like more practice, here's another set of similar problems. Okay, this stuff, the more you do, the easier it gets, okay? So this is not something you need to turn in. If you want us to check it, we will. This is the one you're going to turn in. The below worksheet is not required. It is for you to get more practice. It's up to you if you want to do it. And then just here's a blank one, okay? Because sometimes you might get a problem on a quiz or something and you just want to pull out a blank and fill it out if that makes it easier until you get real good at this, okay? So if you want, you can, again, download these, all right? Now the next one that we're going to do is,
Yeah, that's the thing.
I hate that, okay. The next one we're doing is this one. The one I just handed out is class activity worksheet, okay? So this is the one I just handed out. Let me open it up, okay? So basically, I just want us to work out all the, so with this one, I just want us to see what's happening here. Okay, so we have the network address, 192.168.0.16. What's the subnet mask in decimal? Write it down. Okay, write it down. Write down the subnet mask in decimal. Write it in this box. Okay. Not it. No, looks like this. Oh, maybe I have the wrong one loaded in there. Maybe that's why. No,
That's the right.
oh no, that's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one. Okay.
So I have the wrong one loaded in there. Unpublish it. I'll put the right one in there. But actually we need to get the right one in there for Anthony, okay? Then what's the next question? What octet is the last network bit in? 4, fill it out. What's the subnet increment? 8. How many total addresses? Yeah. It should be in the files.
Yeah.
How many usable addresses? Okay, wait. How many total addresses? Who's getting 16? No, not 16. A 29. Use your positional values, Carlos. 29. The last network bit is at what positional value? 8. 8. Okay, so again, I just draw one of these. right? This is just what I do. I don't try to memorize it. My brain is too full with probably much unnecessary information, but so if each octet is 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Here is the last network bit. So this is my subnet increment, 8, right? Okay. So go ahead and you're going to fill this out. You see where it says subnet mask 255, 255, 255, 255, 255? What's the fourth octet? 248. 248. Do we agree? Okay. Then you're going to fill out the bits for the subnet mask. So if it's a 248, it's a 11111, right? And then 000. I might not have it in there. Okay, then you're going to find the network address. What do we do with the host bits for the network address? They're all off. They're all off. And notice the little blue boxes, they represent what bits? Host bits. Now the first usable address. What are you doing with the host bits? Tell me what they are. What's the first host bit? On or off? What's the next host bit? And then on. So you see how you're manipulating these. Then what would the second one be? If it's a number 2 or 16, what's the second one if I manipulate it? 010. 010. Now remember, you still have that one bit on in your network, so you have to take that into consideration, right? Okay. So this stays the same, right? The network piece just stays the same. So I'm just going to plop it in here just like this because it stays the same. The network, remember, we don't know how to change the network yet, right? We haven't figured that out. Okay, so then the first usable, right? I have a host is off, off, then on. So all this is doing is this is just showing us how to manipulate these host bits, right? So basically it's every single combination, right? So my first usable is a .17, right? My second usable, 18. I can plug these numbers in here, and then I can just figure out the combination. Oops. So there's 19. Here's 20. There's 21, right, and then, let's see, 22, and then finally, they're all on. So the whole point here, see, if we tried to do it with a great big network, we'd have to manipulate so many bits, it might make our brains a little mushy. But see how we're just literally coming up with every single combination, and that tells us, again, what addresses I can use on each of my devices. So if I have a little network with just 6 devices, all I need is a /29, right? And I'm just, once I get my network, I know that my first usable is 17, and then 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 is my broadcast, and now I just manipulate my host bits. Just manipulating the host bits. This is just to show you how your NIC cards manipulate the bits to get a unique address. Okay? Just manipulating the bits. Look, if we had to do a /22, we could do it. It would really suck, but we could do it, right? 10001001111 0000111. I mean, we could come up with every single combination. It would be pitiful, but we could do it if we had to. But this nice little small network shows us how it works. Okay, Dominic? Okay. Right. So are there questions about this? There are questions about this and why we did it, how we do it? Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
So when you got the 16, I'm sorry, I got everything up on the top part, but then all of a sudden it started getting 16, 17, 18.
Okay, so we know, so let's fill this in, 255, 255, 255, 248, right? What octet is the last network bit in? Fourth one. What's our subnet increment? 8. And how many total addresses? 8. And usable addresses? 6, right? Okay, so we have the information that we need to just fill out the first part. So here's our network address, 192.168.0.16/29. So here's my subnet mask, so we did that. Now I can figure out what my network address is. I do Boolean, and all the host bits are off, so now I have my network, 192.168.0.16. Well, I know that there's 8 total addresses, so I just count 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's what's available on that network. And now I just need to kind of manipulate these bits, right? So 001, that gives me the first usable. 16 plus 1 is 17. Okay, now I know that the one after 17 is 18. So again, this network bit stays on, right? Because the subnet mask tells me I can't do anything with it. So now I'm going to just, again, I'm manipulating what's the next combination, 010. So now I've got 16 plus 2. That's how I got the 18. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just changing all these into the different combinations. Okay. It's just to demonstrate. Again, remember, fortunately, we don't need to do that. Our brains don't need to do that. The NIC card in the computer will handle that. But this is to show us what the process is, okay? Again, it would be really hard for us to do it if we had even a /24. I mean, we could. There's 8 bits. That one we could figure it out. But think about it. There's 256 different combinations of ones and zeros, right? 0000, 000010, 00011. It's a lot of combinations. It's nice and easy to do it with a /29. If you're done, keep working on the next one. If you're done, go back to this sheet. Okay. Work on the next one. If you need a break, this would be a good time to take a break to use the restroom and then come back. We're going to do a brain teaser and a Kahoot. Okay, so if you need a little break, this is a good time. Okay, when you're done, keep working on this worksheet, okay? So again, those of you that are comfortable with bits, and if you don't feel like you need to do the bits, I'm okay with that. Just make sure you've got all of this filled out. Okay, you've got to have all of this filled out. I need to see the network address, the first usable, the last usable, and the broadcast. So even if you don't do the bits, because you're super comfortable, make sure you're filling out all of this part in the bottom, okay? So if you don't think you need to do Boolean, I'm okay with that. But just keep in mind, if I see you making mistakes, I'm going to go back and make you start doing the bits, okay? Yes.
This is going to be the bit that measure what our bits are going to.
The last network bit?
Yeah.
Yep, because there it is, all right?
And then I did my math for it based off of charts we've done before.
Yeah,
This is a number that it ends up being
that looks 65,
436.
is that right? That,
Maybe.
so you have a /16, yeah, that looks right.
No, I just did the math
I
wrong
think it's
instead of-
65,534 though.
Did I math wrong?
Uh,
No, 'cause it is
Maybe
it
not.
was
I don't know. I might
32768.
I might have it wrong. 16,384, 32,768. Yeah, you're probably right. Again, I don't try to remember. I don't try to memorize them all, you know. Yeah, do that. Power of 16. So 2 to the power, oh wait, no, wait, where is it? Oh, here, you gotta go to, you have to go to scientific. There you go.
2,
Yes. 16. Okay, yeah, 65,534, that's what I thought. 536 minus 2. Okay,
Are we supposed to fill this out in the Excel sheet?
no, just fill it out in what you have. I mean, if you prefer the Excel sheet, you can. You're gonna be turning it in. But, did you already finish it? But all of it? All 8 of them? Did you finish it? All 8 of them? Okay, perfect. Let me have it. Can you just give them to Marcus? And then Marcus will enter your points. Oh, put your name on it, yes,
I
yes.
wanted to double check this one.
Yeah,
So the
13.
/13 network, which based upon what I pulled up is going to be a 524,000 roughly.
That sounds right.
So looking at this, everything looks right to me, but I want to double check because my network address is here. We only have 248, so it's going to move on the 8. 150 doesn't count, so 144 because it's the 128 and 16.
Okay, so a 13 is gonna increment by
8,
8. Okay, so we have 144, so,
because it would be the 4 and the 2 that would make it the 150 for the address.
oh, I gotta bid it out.
Okay. I was like, the rest of these I was fine with.
Bid it out. When you have to ask, when you have to ask, you just got, that means you gotta bid that one out, okay?
I don't know why I was looking at that one. I'm like,
Yeah, I see exactly, yeah, but just bid it out. When in doubt, bid it out, you guys. I don't even try to do all of them in my head. There's no shame in bidding. Okay, in a couple minutes, we're gonna move on. Okay. So in a couple minutes, we're gonna move on. Don't worry, if you didn't finish that, you'll still have time. No. What did it come out to be?
144.
Okay.
I was like, I think I'm but I'm not sure I'm doing this right. When I got that big, I was like, okay, yeah, I hope I didn't mess this up.
All right, so if you could just stop what you're working on. You're gonna have time to finish it, don't worry. Okay, we're gonna do a Kahoot here together. talk about these. So we're going to, as a question comes up, we're going to work on it together, okay? The first several together. So I don't want you worrying about the time and the points and all that stuff, okay? So what we're going to be doing, oh, it started already. What happened? How did that start? Did I hit start? Hold on. Are you trying to exit? Okay. Why did that start? Huh. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the address, and we're going to determine if it's a network, a host, or a broadcast. So we're going to be looking at it. So let's try this again. I don't know why that started. So if you already went in, you might have to go in again. Kahoot.it. Use that code. Okay. Let's see. All right. So okay. So here it's giving us an address, 192.168.2.32. So let's just break this down. 27 is in what octet? Octet 4. Now, what is a 27 going to increment by? 32. So my networks would be 192.168.2.0.32.64, right? 64 plus 32, 96, right? So we can assess that this is actually a subnetwork address, okay? So when it says subnet, that just means a subnetwork, right? It's a subnetwork of the 192.168.2.0, because then we'd have the .64, the .96, okay? So we're going to keep doing these together. So this one's a subnetwork, okay? I'm assuming the blue people clicked on it before we went over it. Okay. All right. So let's look at this next one together. Okay. So now a 22. What octet are we in? The third. What is the increment on a 22? Okay. I would recommend you have your positional value chart. Okay. So it's a 4, right? It's going to be a 4. So here's what I do. So I'm like, is the number 12 in the third octet divisible by 4? It is. So that tells me it's a network. Because if I had 192.168.0.0, I increment by 4, then I would have 192.168.4.0. Then what would I have?
8.0,
And then what would I have?
12.0.
So this is a subnetwork. This is a network address, okay? Subnet just means a subnetwork address, okay? Okay? So does everybody see how we did that? Yes? No? Okay. So it's important to always kind of just be breaking these down, bite at a time. So first you got to figure out your 22, third octet. Then you got to figure out, well, what is a 22 increment by? Then I just need to figure out what would the networks be, okay, for that subnetwork, for that increment. Okay, so a 21, what does it increment by? And in what octet? 3. Okay, so now, since I know that it increments by 8, a 21 increments by 8, I asked myself, is 12 equally divisible by 8? It isn't, right? So what kind of an address would this be? It can't be a network address. You can't have a 12 with a /21. This is a host address. This would be a host address. Because if I have a /21, so let's start with my first one. It would be 192.168.0.0/21. 21 increments by what? Okay, so that means my next network would be 192.168.8.0/21. What would my next network be? Okay, it would be 16. Now, this 12, look, it falls in between the 8 and the 16, right? So that's how I know it's a host, because it falls somewhere in between this address and this address. So that's a host. Okay, we're going to just keep practicing. Okay, so now we've kind of got the answer to this one, right? A 21 increments by what? In what octet? 3. So see here, we already did it. If we start with a 0, then we have an 8 and a 16. So what kind of address is this? Subnet, right? It's a subnetwork. Subnetwork. It would probably be better if that said subnetwork, because then it would be, right? It's a network address. (26), what octet? And what is a 26 increment by? 64. So what would the first address be? .0, 192.168.2.0. I increment the 0 by what? So now what? 32, what is it? It's in the middle, so it's got to be a host. It's in the middle, it's got to be a host. Okay, so see again, if we did it, it would be 192.168.2.0/26, 26 increments by 64. So my next network would have been a 64. So this 32 falls in the middle, so it's got to be a host. Okay, now this one should be kind of easy for us, right? Why is this one kind of easy? So first of all, what octet is it in? Which one? Louder. Third octet. But what have I got in the fourth octet? I got some bits turned on. What's the definition of a network? All the host bits are off. So this has to be a what? Host. Does everybody see that? Because a network, all the host bits are off. Well, that would mean this would have to be a 0. So this is a host address. This is a host address. Okay, so now it starts to get 255, so that looks like a what? Looks like a broadcast, but you got to be careful here. So let's think about this. So first of all, what would the network be? Let's figure out the network first of all. That is the network. So the network would be 192.168.4.0/23. Do we agree? Okay, now a 23 increments by what? Okay, so what's, no, not a 1. So what's my next network? 6.0/23. So is this a, what is that? It's just a host. Because the broadcast would be 5.255. Be 5.255, right? Because look, if you turn all of the host bits on, that means this is on right here. on. So that's 5.255. This is just a host, 4.255. You got to think about those bits. What bits are on, what bits are off. This is just a host. It's just a host. You're shaking your head, Ken.
Yeah, it's not what,
Okay.
at least the way we're doing it, do with those other sheets.
Well then, so write this one down. Okay, write this one down. And then let's do it on the sheet later. Okay, so write this one down. So you got to figure out the network and then what the next network is. So remember, this is a really big network, right? A /23. How many addresses do I have? 512, 510 usable. So that's a lot of networks, right? I mean, a lot of IP addresses. If any of these give you a problem, I want you to write it down so we can do it on the sheet later, because then when you see it bit out, it makes sense. That's why I say you got to bit these out until you get really good at them. Okay, you got to bit them out. Okay, so a 25, what octet? Fourth. And what is a 25 increment by? 128, right? So my first would be 192.168.4.0/25. What's my next one? What's the next network? 128. So remember how we said it's just the very next one? Right? So if I subtract 1 from this, that's 127. So that means that my broadcast here is 168.4.127/25. Now I could also just manipulate the bits, right? This bit has to stay part of my network, and then the rest of these get turned on. So 127. My broadcast is 127. My next network is 128. It's just the next one. If any of these give you trouble, you need to write them down so that we could plug them into the table, okay? That's why we're doing them slow. 27, what octet? Fourth octet, and what is my increment? Okay, so that means my networks would be 192.168.2, right? Would be 2.0, 2.32, 2.64. So if I have a 64, what's the one right before it? It'll be the broadcast of the previous network. Okay, so this would be 192.168.2.0/27. What's my next one? 2.32, right? Because I'm incrementing, this increments by 32. And then what? 2.64. Okay, and remember our networks just chase each other, right? They just chase each other. So if my next network is a 64, the one right before it is the broadcast. Okay, the one right before it is the broadcast. Okay, 25, what octet? What does it increment by? So what would this one be? Subnet. Subnet. Aha. How about this one? This is taking us back to the other one, right? This is actually the broadcast address for our 192.168.4.0 address. It's our broadcast. Okay, if it gives you trouble, just write it down so we can do it. Okay, now what would the next network be? Remember, it just chases it, right? So I would just add 1, so that makes this 256. Can we have a 256? Nope, so I just take this 1 and I carry it over. So my next network is the 6.023, right? So remember, there's a couple of different ways to arrive at our answers. There's no one right way. Okay, there's no one right way. Okay, we'll keep doing these. This isn't going to be the only time that we do this, okay? So, and we'll keep practicing these until they start to get easier. Okay. Good job, Logan. All right, so I want to cover a few things, okay? We're wrapping up just 8 and 10. And then who has started module 11? Okay, good. It's really important that you get that done, right? We have the whole week for module 11 because the notes are due Wednesday night. Okay, but that doesn't mean to slack off and not start them, right? Get going on them because there's a lot in module 11 and 12. Now, here's the good news about module 11. So those of you that have started module 11, what do you notice about it? We've already done it. Yeah, right? We've been working on bits and pieces of it all along. Can you imagine if I had to teach you network addressing, first address, last address, broadcast, all now, right now, this week? So what we've done is we've pieced it together so that we don't have to do it all at once, okay? Module 11 also goes over VLSM. We are going to do VLSM on Thursday, okay? So it's important that you get a good grasp of what we're doing tonight with these address ranges, okay? Because on Thursday, what we've been doing now is equal subnetting, right? I need 5 networks. I know how to get 5 networks that are all a /27 or a /29. Well, what if I need 120 addresses, and then I need 60 addresses, and then 50 addresses, because I have less people in my human resources department than my warehouse. I have more people in my warehouse than I have in my CEOs, right? So we got to know how to do that. So we're going to start doing unequal subnetting, which is called VLSM, variable length subnetting. VLSM, variable length subnetting, okay? So let's see here. This is just a little review of the OSI model. So who can give me the OSI model? Dominic. What are the 2 sublayers of the data link? Noelle. The 2 sublayers of the data link layer, layer 2. Nope, that's the TCP/IP. Adiel. The LLC, the MAC and the LLC. JPEG, where is it? Chase. Presentation. No, good job. I'm going to set up a WebEx. What layer might that be? Ken? Yes, and specifically I need to set up a what in the application layer with WebEx? Application presentation? Session, right? I got to have I'm going to open up a session. So yeah, the application layer is kind of using all that stuff, right? Taylor, the PDU at layer 3. Don't send pets for beer. Nope, that's layer 2. Packets. Don't send pets for beer. Devin, what is the PDU at the transport layer?
I know this.
Oh, I can tell on Thursday we got to review some stuff. Don't send pets for beer. Do send pets. I thought we were going to decide that our pets are going to be going for beer. Segment. Okay. So, right, we've moved from the physical addressing layer. What type of addresses do we have at the physical layer? Everyone. Mac, what kind of addresses do we have at the network layer? Everyone. IP, right? So layer 2, that's our switches, right? What is the function? It's forwarding our frames. There's a lot of vulnerabilities at layer 2. So it's important, like especially any of you going into cybersecurity, you want to understand the switch really well because there's a lot of vulnerabilities there. It's really prone to attacks, right? This week and last week, we've been covering layer 3. This is where our routers are, right? What tables are on the router? 2 that we've talked about. ARP tables, and what else? Router tables, right? Router tables. Okay, this is a question that I told you to know that I would be asking about it all the time. What kind of routes go into the route tables? Who said it? What did you say, Chase? The best ones. Write that down. I will forever ask you that. It will be on every CCNA exam that you take. The best routes go into the route table. Okay.
On the exam, there was a really weird, they gave a really weird definition for that, like which one they choose for
The most matching bits?
no, it wasn't the most matching bits.
Oh.
Yeah, it was,
The one with the lowest administrative distance?
one of those.
Yeah. Which is, so the route with the lowest administrative distance is the best route, and that's the route that will go in. Because again, just think about like you're driving home. There's a million ways you can get home, but you're going to take the best route. Now, you might keep those other ones in your back pocket, right? You might need to pull it out one day because there's an accident, or you want to swing by Dairy Queen and get yourself a blizzard, right? So, class, we're not going to do that. We already did that. Yes. What are the 4 basic processes performed by the network layer? We're going to skip that. All right, this is actually a question. Compare layer switch records between, okay. What are the 2 main network protocols at the network layer? IPv6 and IPv4. It is. Yeah, there's other ones, but the 2 main ones is IPv4 and IPv6. And then we're going to start learning about OSPF, RIP, things like that, okay? We'll learn about some other ones. IPv4 and IPv6 are functioning. You know, and then like there's some people and companies like Apple, they have their own protocol for layer 3. You know, Apple Talk or whatever. They have their own layer 3 proprietary protocol. Segment, the PDU is the pocket. We've already done that. So we've talked about encapsulation, right? So from here, if we're moving our way down, we come from the transport layer where we pick up what on both ends? What are we picking up at the transport layer? Port numbers, port information, right? Now we encapsulate it, move it down, right? And then it picks up the IP addresses, the source and destination IP addresses, right? Now it's the packet, then I move it down to the data link layer, right? So there's a couple of things that, okay. So there's a couple of things that IP is known for, okay? There's 3 particular functions that are in common for IP. What are they? It's in the reading. What? Yes.
It is not guaranteed.
Correct.
And it is,
Along the lines of not being guaranteed. That's best effort, not guaranteed, best effort.
And she said,
What is it? Yeah, it's connectionless, okay? So again, this needs to go in your notes. Everyone write this down. So IP is connectionless. I do not need to connect with Carlos's email server before I can send him an email, right? I don't have to do that. I don't have to create a full connection. I can just send it, and I can just send it and I can do what? I can hope for the best. The network will make its best effort. It's going to try to get there, but it doesn't guarantee it. Okay? So it's connectionless. It's going to make a best effort. If it gets there, it gets there. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You might be lucky enough to get a little demon error. Sorry, demon error. Yes?
there was something to read, and I wasn't sure if it was something that IPv6 was going to have connections or no.
It's still connectionless. IPv6 does some stuff that we'll talk about. Okay? IPv6 does some stuff. And then it's media independent. What does that mean, Devin?
Independent, it doesn't matter which medium it's on, be it radio, light, or electronic.
Exactly. It could care less. It'll go. Right? So those three things. Okay, so it's connectionless. It'll make its best effort. And it's media independent. It doesn't care. Okay? Doesn't care. So connectionless, best effort, and media independent. It's going to try to get there, but it doesn't guarantee it. It's like the post office, right? Unless you pay for certified mail, right? Chances are you'll get it, right? We almost always get our mail. Every now and then you don't. Okay? Best effort. We're going to try to get there, but if we don't, oh well. True or false? IP packets can travel over different media, everybody.
Yes.
That is true. That is true. All right. Let's see. True or false, and explain. To take an IP packet. Okay. Okay. We're just going to skip. That's a LLC layer. Okay. Header. So what's the major limitation of IPv4? Address space. We're out of it, right? Pretty much. So the answer is IPv6, right? We don't have IP. We have IP address depletion. The internet routing tables, they're just getting giant because we have millions and millions of connections. Routers can handle it, especially now that we have data centers and virtualization and everything like that. So that's not as big of a problem. IPv4 lacks end-to-end connectivity. What does that mean?
There's not enough IP addresses to give every device that uses the network an individual unique address.
Yes.
Adding or another process.
Yes. Exactly right. Because IPv4, we're out of them, we have to use something called NAT. We've come up with all kinds of crazy ways. Classful addressing, classless addressing, NAT, all kinds of stuff. So because we use NAT, we don't have true end-to-end connectivity. And NAT is network address translations. When you when you start reading Module 11, you're going to read about private addresses and public addresses. So in here, what do we have? Private addressing. So there are certain addresses that never get on the network. Those are private addresses. But those addresses have to be translated to a what kind of address? Public, in order to communicate, okay? And our routers do that job. Our routers do that job. Dominic? Okay. 2 improvements that IPv6. Well, we have more addresses. We have end-to-end connectivity, improved packet handling. The headers of IPv6 packets are much smaller, so they're a little bit easier to process.
I think they were bigger. Yeah, I think this was bigger.
They're
Less fields, but they're bigger.
They have less fields. They're only bigger because the IPv6 address is longer, but there's really less fields and less bits to process outside of the IPv6 address itself. Okay. So just as an example, right, we only have 4 billion IPv4 addresses. We have 340 undecillion IPv6 addresses. Are we going to run out of IPv6 addresses?
Anytime soon.
Not anytime soon, but I'm with you. I think the answer could be a maybe with the way we're going.
IoT devices.
It could be a maybe. Okay, how do I get rid of that thing? So, see, there's an IPv6 packet header. See how it's pretty small? Let's see if there's an IPv4 packet. So it just needs a lot more information crammed in there in order for it to make it from place to place, okay? Okay. So I want you to think about, we talked about a router. So this is what kind of a route? No? Yes, and it's what else? How is it connected? It's directly connected. I'm the router. This is an interface. It's connected to a LAN. That is a directly connected network. So what if I'm trying to get to Pennsylvania? What kind of network is that? A remote network. I'm in Glendale. What if I'm trying to get to Phoenix? What kind of network is that? A remote network. Remote. It's a remote. Okay, so again, that's what we're showing here, is that our devices are going to have local and they're going to have remote networks, okay, remote capability. And also, we can use a loopback to ping itself. Okay, we can use a loopback to ping itself. You can use 127.0.0.1, but you could also use 127.0.0.25. Any 127.0.0 address will work. Okay. Okay, how do I get rid of this thing? Let me just stop this for a second. See if it goes away. No, it doesn't go away. Oh, there it went away. Okay. So the blank blank is the network device that can route traffic to remote networks. Everybody. Default gateway, right? Here's our default gateway. Now I want to just talk about something. A default gateway is a term for the interface that connects a LAN. A LAN. So this door would be our default gateway. Okay? But if I'm connecting two routers, a router to a router, just one way in, one way out, that's not really called a default gateway. Okay, the term default gateway is the term we use really just when we're talking about LANs. So if I come over here and I'm going to connect another router, okay, this is not a default gateway. It's just an interface address. This is just an interface address. The term default gateway is really reserved for networks attached to a LAN. Okay, does everybody understand that? This is not, if I'm connecting two routers, this is not a default gateway address because it's a WAN link. This is not a default gateway address. This is a WAN link. Okay, it's a WAN link. Okay. Routing is the process of identifying the best what, everybody? Route, right? The best route, the best path. Okay. Net-stat-r. That was in the book. Routing tables that serve you about 3 different types of routes. So let's also jot this down. Routers keep track of directly connected routes, right? We already talked about that. What other kind of routes? Remote routes. And what's the third kind? Static, right? The default route, which will be a static route. So the default route is a route of last return. This came up on one of the survey questions. So a gateway of last resort. So let's say I have a router over here and it's connected to us, okay? And I send out a request to an address for I like puppy dogs that have pink bows. Well, if my router doesn't have a route for I like puppy dogs that wear pink bows, my router will kick it to the gateway of last resort, which was most likely my ISP. Because chances are, if there is a route to I like puppy dogs that have pink bows, it would be at the gateway of last resort. So it's just a route to a router that has a bigger route table. Okay, it captures traffic that my router doesn't have information for. We're going to talk a lot more about gateway of last resorts and default static routes in 150. Okay, so here's what I want everybody to do. Okay, so a couple things. This class activity that we did, the worksheet, I want you to have that turned in by Friday. Okay, so if you didn't finish it, just turn it in by Friday. The one that we were working on, the big packet. Did you finish it? You can just give it to Marcus and we'll grade it. Okay? Otherwise, you can scan it, just take a picture. You could do it in Excel. You could finish it tonight. Okay? This is due Friday. Okay? This is due Friday. If you finished it tonight, just give it to Marcus. Okay? So then the next thing, we're going to do this check out activity. Okay, again, this is under week 5, class activities Tuesday towards the bottom. You've got to refresh your screen, class activity, Nearpod. Okay, you're going to do that checkout activity. And lastly, I've got one more thing for you to do. I want you to take a picture of the notes that you took tonight, and I want you to upload those. I'm going to be looking for all the things that I said. Write down, take notes. If you typed them, that's okay. But whatever you took notes on tonight, you're going to be uploading that in here. So you've got 3 things to upload. One that doesn't have to be uploaded till Friday or turned in tonight. Then you're going to be doing the Nearpod, checkout, and I want to see your notes because I told you to take notes tonight, and I want to make sure you're taking notes. If you need any help, just get with us, and we'll show you exactly where it's at. Okay? Found it? Okay. Marcus, are you grading these? I want these graded and turned back tonight if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And I divided by 0.5.
As long as they did them and turned them in, just give them the full points.
Sure.
And mark what's wrong so they can fix it.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Did you get your name? Perfect, thank you. Week 6, or week 5, we're in week 5, oh my gosh. Week 5, sorry, week 5, checkout activities. Nope, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the Kahoot, that's just for practice and participation, don't worry about that. As a matter of fact, I'll do it right now.
Oh, it's matching them?
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, I see now.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, so like, see,
Yeah.
this does that.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's a matching one, you guys. What command does what? What command does what? So like that enable secret password, what does it do? Find the match. You click on them.